Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating workshop paper by Pastor K.s.m. Abamide. Now, this was designed specifically to equip Christian drama ministers with financial literacy and capital market knowledge. It's such a unique intersection, right? Spiritual stewardship meeting practical finance. Instead of viewing faith and wealth as total opposites, we're going to explore how they can actually work hand in hand to sustain a long-term vision. So here's a quick look at our agenda for today. We'll start with faith, finance, and ministry, move into redefining wealth as stewardship, and then demystify the capital market. After that, we'll weigh the risks and rewards, walk through steps to start investing, and finally, look at picking companies and avoiding scams.
All right, let's jump right into section 1, faith, finance, and ministry.
The crucial point made right out of the gate here is that despite their massive evangelistic impact, a lot of drama ministers really struggle to sustain their calling. I mean, these folks are essentially doing the work of missionaries through film and stage, yet they face some severe financial hurdles. They often have to rely entirely on church offerings or occasional donations. And when you think about it, trying to fund productions, buy gear, travel, and somehow still feed your own family on a purely donation-based model, that makes long-term ministry incredibly tough to keep going. This brings us to section 2, redefining wealth as stewardship. So how do we solve this financial hurdle? Well, we really have to shift our entire perspective. By anchoring this idea in Deuteronomy 8:18, the paper establishes that creating wealth is actually a God-given ability. This totally tackles that common misconception that wealth automatically equals worldliness. Instead, we're looking at wealth as a tool for ministry rather than an idol. When you pursue it with humility and integrity, it becomes this amazing resource to sponsor productions, train up younger ministers, and really just expand the reach of the message. Okay, let's move on to section 3, demystifying the capital market. First off, what exactly is an investment? Well, simply put, it's committing your money, time, or resources into an asset, fully expecting it to generate future income or growth. You can actually compare this to the biblical parable of the talents. It's definitely not about hoarding what you have. It's this active, intentional process of multiplying the resources you've been given to prepare for future responsibilities. Next, let's tackle some vocabulary. A stock just means you're buying a tiny fraction of ownership in a business. You know, when a company needs money to, say, build a new factory or expand their production, they invite the public to become part owners. And if you buy in, boom, you hold stock. Meanwhile, a share is the precise individual unit of that ownership. Now, I know people use the words stock and share interchangeably all the time, but there is actually a really helpful distinction between the two. Let's look at Pastor Ade and Pastor BC to see this nuance in action. So Pastor Ade buys 2,000 specific units of a single company, GTCO. He owns shares. Pastor BC, on the other hand, owns slices of GTCO, MTN, and Dangote. We'd say she owns stocks. It's a subtle difference, for sure. Shares are the specific units, while stocks refer to that broader ownership, but knowing this just makes navigating the market so much less confusing. Finally, we have the dividend. Simply put, this is the passive income you get when the company you own a piece of makes a profit. The paper highlights this as a major benefit for ministers because, unlike an honorarium you get from a single speaking engagement, dividend income can just keep rolling in, even when you aren't actively working. It's a real game changer. Just to give you a bit of historical context, the Nigerian capital market didn't just pop up overnight. It actually started way back in 1960 as the Lagos Stock Exchange. Then, by 1977, it expanded into the Nigerian Stock Exchange to reflect a more national scope. And eventually, in 2021, it was restructured into the NGX Group. Today, it is a highly regulated digital marketplace boasting hundreds of companies. And this history should be pretty reassuring. It shows we're dealing with a formal environment overseen by the Securities and Exchange Commission, not some unregulated Wild West frontier. Which brings us to section 4, the risks and rewards. Now, while the rewards absolutely include long-term wealth, passive income, and buffering against inflation, we have to acknowledge the risks before jumping in. Market risk means prices are going to bounce around with the economy. Business risk means poor management could literally destroy a company's value. But you know what the most fascinating point here is? Emotional risk. Investing requires some serious emotional discipline. Fear and greed are what cause people to panic sell during temporary market dips. It's a great reminder that the stock market really rewards patience, which perfectly echoes biblical wisdom about avoiding impulsive, hasty decisions. All right, let's get practical with section 5, steps to start investing. This step-by-step blueprint shows you exactly how to begin participating in the Nigerian capital market responsibly. And hey, notice step 1, build an emergency fund first. It is heavily advised that you do not invest money you're going to need for next month's rent, groceries, or school fees. Once you're stable, then you find a broker. Do your KYC registration, which is basically just handing over your ID and bank details, fund your account, and do your research. And that final step, exercise patience. Give those businesses time to grow. Now, the good news is there are plenty of accessible platforms to get this done. You aren't just limited to walking into a traditional brokerage office anymore, though great options like Stanbic IBTC are totally fine. You can actually use regulated digital apps like Bamboo, Trove, or Cowrywise right from your smartphone. It literally puts a powerful wealth-building tool right in your pocket, making the market more accessible than it's ever been. And that leaves us to our final section, Section 6, Picking Companies and Avoiding Scams. Before you go hitting that buy button on your app, you really need to think like a business owner. Ask yourself this: would I honestly be willing to become a part owner of this specific company? You've got to evaluate them on critical factors, not just whatever the current hype is. Do you actually understand what the business does? Are they consistently making a profit? Do they have a solid history of paying dividends? And, absolutely crucial here, does the management team operate with integrity? Because honestly, this honest leadership can tank even the most profitable business out there. And to protect your portfolio from those risks we talked about earlier, here is a pro tip. Do not put all your resources into one single company. You can map out entirely different sectors of the Nigerian economy. We're talking banking, telecom, consumer goods, agriculture, the whole shebang. By spreading your investments across these different sectors, if, say, the agriculture industry has a really tough year, your banking and telecom shares can step up and balance things out. It's just a classic proven strategy to keep things stable long term.
It is equally important to memorize these common pitfalls so you can avoid unnecessary financial heartbreak. The stock market is not some get-rich-quick scheme. If you invest without doing your homework, if you buy based on social media rumors, or, worst of all, if you take out a loan to buy shares, you are just setting yourself up for a disaster. Oh, and remember this: if an investment scam guarantees you a 50% profit in 1 week, run! Legitimate investing simply does not guarantee extraordinary profits overnight.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, let's circle back to the core message of Pastor Abamide's workshop. Building financial literacy is a profound act of preparation. It isn't stepping away from your spiritual devotion, it's a vital, living part of it. By understanding the capital market, managing your risks, and investing wisely, drama ministers, and really anyone with a mission, can build the financial capacity they need to sustain their work, all without compromising their values. Which leaves us with this final, really vital question for you to reflect on regarding your own stewardship and readiness. Whether you are leading a ministry, building a small business, or just managing your own family's resources, are you equipping yourself with the knowledge and capacity to fulfill your purpose? Are you financially built for a time as this? Think about that for a bit and keep on learning.